There you go. Just maray na hapon po sa Indogabos, or good afternoon everyone. And we're still here live at Zoom video conference para po sa ating afternoon session of our forum on Safe Spaces Act. There you go. Thank you so much. Once again, we're here live to our Zoom video conference for the afternoon session for the forum Safe Spaces Act of RA 11313 and Anti-Violence Against Women and Children or Their Children Act or RA 9262. This is brought to us by the Bicol University Graduate School in cooperation with the Center for the Gender and Development or CGAD, and the BU Open University, the BU College of Industrial Technology, and the BAUS Student Council. I am Flor J. Naval Medina, and I will be your host or moderator for this afternoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me now introduce to you our speaker for our afternoon session ngayon po. Ladies and gentlemen, Attorney Barcebal is a private practitioner in Attorney Glenn Ian P. Barcebal Law Office. And at the same time, he is the faculty member of the BU College of Law. Ladies and gentlemen, to discuss the Violence Against Women and Their Children Act, ladies and gentlemen, our second speaker, we have Attorney Glenn Ian P. Barcebal. Attorney, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Loud
All
and clear,
right.
sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that kind introduction, Mr. Medina, Mr. Moderator. Before I begin, may I express my gratitude to the Bicol University, those who organized this event for inviting me. Actually, sabi ko nga kay Dr. Cabiles kanina, parang ang bigat naman ng mga ng mga speaker mo for today. The morning speaker is one of the biggest speakers or lecturers sa kanyang field. And sabi ko naman, bakit yung panghapon parang bigatin lang yung katawan? Bigatin yung weight? Eh sabi ko, sige. But yeah, nung tinanong ako ni Roldan kung willing daw ba ako magbigay ng talk, sabi ko, sure, why not? After all, parang brother ko na rin to si Dr. Roldan. Anyways, may I be allowed to share my screen, Mr. Moderator?
Yes, sir. Go ahead po,
Alright.
Attorney.
Thank you very much. I-share ko lang tong asan yan? Yung PowerPoint presentation para mas maganda yung ating discussion for this afternoon. Ayun. Alright. Okay. To begin, Republic Act number 9262. It's to sa mga sobrang may ingay, not really may ingay, pero madalas marinig ng isang lalaki, automatic ba pasok na yun sa BAUSI? It depends. Kasi dinefine ng law kung sino ba yung pwedeng maging accused and sino ba yung pwedeng maging victim. So, mamaya i-discuss natin yan. Ayan. Against various acts of violence. Ang dami kasing types ng violence. Ayan, makikita nyo. Meron tayong tinatawag na sexual violence. Meron tayong tinatawag na physical violence, which is yung madalas na nangyayari. Meron tayong tinatawag na psychological violence. Meron din tayong tinatawag na economic abuse. Lahat yan, i-discuss natin one by one mamaya. And nakalagay din whether taking place sa loob ng bahay or kahit sa labas ng bahay. Eto, dito tayo sa sexual violence. Women and children are given protection against violent sexual acts that include, by the term include, kasama, pero hindi lang limitado dyan. Including yan, rape. And by the term na rape itself, kapag yung guy or yung asawang lalaki, pinilit na makipagtalik yung asawa niya, babae. Sir, di ba mag-asawa naman sila? So, hindi naman dapat magkaroon ng sexual violence kasi mag-asawa naman sila. No. The law itself sinasabi na kahit mag-asawa na kayo, hindi mo pwedeng pilitin yung asawa mo na makipagtalik sa'yo because that is rape. Meron din tayong sexual harassment. Meron din tayong acts of lasciviousness. Ano yung mga usual na acts of lasciviousness? Yung sinansingan, yung hinawakan sa private parts, na walang pahintulot ng babae. Merong mga demeaning or sexually suggestive remarks. Ang tawag, ito yung mga patutsada, kumbaga, mga pasimple, yung mga paduda ng ibang mga guys na yung mga nakakabastos na words na sinasabi. Physical attack of a woman's or child's sexual parts, that's considered as sexual violence. So, itong sexual violence, kahit meron tayong physical attack, baka malito tayo kasi meron tayong physical violence. Attorney, physical violence, o yan, nakalagay, physical attack na sa babae or sa bata man sa kanyang sexual parts. Ayan, specifically sa sexual parts. Kapag tinamaan ng itong physical attack, yung sexual part, that's sexual violence. Pero kapag ibang part ng katawan ng tinamaan, that will fall under physical violence. I-discuss natin mamaya yung physical violence. Moving on, another way of committing sexual violence is forcing the victim to watch obscene shows and publications. Ano to? Yung mga porn. Let's say yung guy is pinilit na panuorin yung babae ng porn. Pasok siya dito sa number 6. Number 7, filming sexual acts without the victim's consent. Ano lang parang nagtalik si guy and si girl. I don't know, but parang nagiging, hindi naman sa uso, pero madalas nangyayari yata to, although stealthily or clandestinely. Yung iba, it's parang binivideo nila yung sarili nila. Pero, itong number 7, kapag si guy is binidyo niya yung act mismo, yung pagtatalik nila mismo ng girl, na wala namang pahintulot ng girl, pasok siya dito sa sexual violence. Another, number 8, forcing the wife and yung lover ng guy na tumira sa sariling bahay or matulog kasama ng mistress. In short, yung lalaki, yung wife, tapos mistress niya, pinilit niya yung dalawa na matulog kasama niya doon sa same room. Pasok yan sa sexual violence. Forcing or attempting to cause the victim to engage in a sexual act to threat of violence or harm. Ano to? Pinilit or kahit attempt lang na mapilit yung victim o yung biktima na mag-engage sa isang sexual na act na merong pananakot or sinaktan or inapi yung babae para lang pilitin siya na mag-engage dito sa sexual act. Prostituting the victim. Let's say si guy is kumuha siya ng isa pang guy para lang magkapera siya, ginawa niya prostitute yung asawa niya. May times necessarily, pero wala pa akong na-handle na case na ganito. Pero the law protects women. The law protects wives. And hindi lang actually wives. Kahit yung mga girlfriends, kahit yung mga ex-girlfriends, pinoprotektahan ng law dito sa number 10. Bakit? Kasi ano na 'to, malala na 'tong kaso, number 10. Pino-prostitute mo na yung sarili mong asawa. That's very wrong. And sabi ng law, that is sexual violence. So ayan, balik tayo. Sexual violence may be committed through rape, sexual harassment, acts of lasciviousness, demeaning or sexually suggestive remarks, may physical attacks sa sexual parts ng woman or ng bata, forcing the victim na manood ng pornographic films or obscene shows and publications, filming the acts na sexual acts without the consent ng babae, forcing the wife and the mistress or lover to live in the same house or sleep together in the same room, forcing or attempting to cause the victim to engage in sexual act with threat of violence or harm, and prostituting the victim. That's only one part of BAUC, that's sexual violence. Physical violence naman is actually yung tinatawag natin na battery or pananakit. Binubugbog, sinasaktan, sinasampal, inuuntog. Yan. Physical violence against a woman or child includes acts that result in or kahit nga pananakot, kahit tinetreat lang na saktan. In short, sinaktan or tinakot lang na saktan, pasok dito sa physical violence. Ano yun? Causing physical harm to the victim. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina. Binugbog, sinuntok, tinadyakan. Pasok dyan sa physical violence. Paano kung tinakot lang, attorney? Paano kung inattempt lang or hindi naman talaga ginawa pero papunta na doon, parang gagawin na. Pasok yan dito sa number 2. Tinetrete na yung victim na magkakaroon ng physical harm sa kanya or mag-a-attempt na ng cause na magkakaroon ng physical harm doon sa victim mismo. Third way of committing physical violence is to place the victim in imminent physical harm. Another is using force or the threat of force and physical harm para pilitin yung biktima na kumbaga mag-engage sa mga acts na pwede namang hindi gawin or may karapatan naman na hindi dapat gawin nung babae. Or pinaprevent yung biktima, o wag mo tong gawin. Wag kang lumabas diyan kasi baka madaanan mo yung may gusto sa'yo. Nagselos ako, mga ganyan. Parang pinaprevent yung babae na gawin yung pwede niya naman talagang gawin. In short, nare-restrict yung freedom of movement, yung paggalaw, yung kung saan pwedeng pumunta yung babae, ginagamitan ng pananakit or kahit pananakot na sasaktan. So, kailangan nating tandaan na hindi lang yung actual physical act or overt act, kundi kahit threat pa lang, pwede nang kasuhan ng BAUC, particularly under physical violence. So, may kita natin dito yung actual na harm, actual physical harm, and even just a threat to commit a harm. Bubugbugin kita, sasaktan kita, tatadyakan kita, iuntog ko ulo mo dyan sa pader. That's physical violence. Kahit hindi ginawa. Sir, kahit hindi ginawa, ganun pa rin? Yes, kasi sabi ng law is kahit threat. Kahit attempt lang na gawin. Hindi naman talaga ginawa. That's already physical violence. Next is psychological violence. And by the term itself, psychological, nagkakaroon ng effect on the mind of the woman na ito, acts or omission na pwedeng magkaroon ng mental suffering or emotional suffering on the part of the victim. These acts include, but not limited to, intimidation, harassment, stalking, tapos damage to property. Ano yung mga usual na nangyayari dito? Let's say, nag-away mag-asawa, tapos siguro yung babae umuwi muna sa kanila, sa bahay ng parents niya. Tapos ini-stalk ng lalaki every movement. Pumupunta doon sa may bahay nila, tinitingnan lagi, parang laging nakatanaw para masubaybayan or matingnan yung mga ginagawa ng asawa niya. That's stalking. Damage to property, isang way nito is kapag sinira yung gamit ng asawa. Let's say may laptop yung asawa, sinira yung asawa kasi yung sinira yung laptop ng asawa kasi nag-away sila. Or sinipa yung isang example nito is sinipa nung lalaki or sinaktan ng lalaki yung pet. Kahit yung pet ng asawa or pet ng anak. That's psychological violence pa rin. May isang Supreme Court decision nito na nilabas na nahuli lang na nag-cheat yung asawa kasi may ibang babae, may kalaguyo. Hindi naman pumasok sa physical violence, hindi naman pumasok sa physical violence, hindi naman pumasok sa sexual violence, hindi naman pumasok sa economic violence or abuse. Pero sabi ng Supreme Court, there is psychological violence on the part. Bakit? Kasi meron na mental suffering and emotional suffering or anguish on the part of the woman, of the wife. Kaya ganun yung nangyari. So in short, it's the effect, ganun kalakas yung batas kasi magkaroon lang ng emotional na hurt or mental na suffering on the part of the victim or of the wife, pasok yan. Pasok pa rin. Merong psychological violence. Ito pa, public ridicule. What's public ridicule? Public ridicule is, or humiliation. Let's say naglalakad dun sa SM, tapos nagkasagutan yung mag-asawa kasi hindi nakapili ng maayos ng sofa or ng appliances sa bahay, whatsoever. Tapos, sinigawan na ng lalaki yung babae, yung asawa niya, na, oh, ang bobo mo naman, hindi ka marunong pumili, ganun. That's psychological violence kasi, again, the emotional or the mental suffering caused on the part of the woman, of the wife, particularly, napahiya yung babae dun sa SM. Marami nakakita, marami nakarinig. That's public ridicule or humiliation. Mental infidelity, repeated verbal abuse. Ito, kahit yung mga nagsasalita lang ng masasakit na words sa asawa or even sa girlfriend or even sa ex-girlfriend, kahit dating relationship, pasok yan. Repeated verbal abuse, in short, yung sasabi ng masasakit na words. Again, kapag nagsabi ng masakit na words, nagkakaroon ng mental, nagkakaroon ng emotional suffering. Ano yung mga usual na nangyayari dyan kapag repeated verbal abuse? Yung mga pagmumura. Kahit nasa loob lang ng bahay, kayo lang dalawa, or andyan yung family nyo, that's repeated verbal abuse. Kung nasa labas naman kayo, maraming nakarinig na kapitbahay, maraming nakarinig na ibang tao na hindi nyo kakilala, kasi nasa mall, that's number 5, public ridicule or humiliation. Number 8, forcing or allowing the victim to witness the abuse on a member of a family. For example, dito ka lang, manood ka lang dyan, sasaktan ko tong tatay mo, sasaktan ko tong nanay mo. Medyo grim yung example, but may times na nangyayari talaga to. Why? Siguro dahil sa frustrations in life and everything, daming external factors na pwedeng mag-cause niyan. But pinapanood lang yung pananakit sa kapamilya, that's psychological violence. Bakit? Ikaw ba naman makita yung kapamilya mo or tatay mo or nanay mo binubugbog ng asawa mo na lalaki, syempre, masakit. So again, that's mental and emotional suffering or anguish. Ano pa? Number 9, unlawful deprivation of the right to custody or visitation of the victim's children. Example, nag-away yung mag-asawa, meron silang anak. Yung anak is dinala ni lalaki dun sa bahay nila. Si babae is naiwan din mag-isa. Hindi pinapayagan ng lalaki na bisitahin ng babae yung anak nila. That's psychological violence. Or kahit nga wala pa namang court decision granting the sole custody of the child in favor of one parent, pasok pa rin yan. Kasi kung wala yun, the parents, the mother and the father have the joint right to custody over their children. Gamitin natin yung example ko kanina. That's one. That's one psychological violence. Kasi sabi ng batas, unlawful deprivation of the right to custody. Paano sir kung may court order naman na nagsasabi na okay, kay lalaki mapupunta yung custody ng bata, sole custody. That's lawful kasi may court order, may court decree. Paano kung sinabi ng court naman doon na bawal bisitahin ng nanay yung bata? Again, that's lawful as long as may court order. Kung wala naman na court order, in short, in default, kapag ang default natin is dapat both parents merong custody over the children. Ito yung may times na nangyayari dahil hindi nasusustentuhan ng lalaki yung asawa niya or kahit yung anak nila. That's economic abuse. By economic abuse, usually, it involves money, financial. Yung woman o yung asawa is financially dependent on the guy. Kapag hindi binigyan ng financial support, which is under the law, kailangan bigyan ng support. The spouses should support each other. Pero sa law ito, sinabi niya is and applicable lang sa woman na financially dependent sa asawa niya. Let's say yung babaeng asawa walang trabaho, yung lalaking asawa meron, and the breadwinner is the husband, the guy. So mag-withdraw lang or hindi bigyan ng financial support, that's economic abuse. Or let's say, pareho naman kayo capable na mag-asawa, pinigilan mo yung asawa mong babae na, oh, huwag kang magtrabaho. Ako lang. May mga pelikulang ganyan, di ba? Na ang babae daw dapat nasa bahay, yung babae daw is nag-aalaga dapat ng bata. Hindi na yan applicable sa panahon ngayon. Kaya sabi ng law, pagbawalan lang ng lalaki yung asawa nila na magtrabaho ng marangal. Legal, by the term itself, legal profession. Ibig sabihin, marangal na trabaho. Pigilan lang ng lalaki na magkaroon ng legal na trabaho yung asawa niya. That's economic abuse. Another is, hindi pinapayagan ng lalaki na mag-enjoy or gamitin ng babae, ng asawa niya, yung conjugal home nila. In short, initsapwera ni guy si girl, si woman, dun sa sarili nilang bahay. That's economic abuse. Ano pa? Sabihin ng lalaki na, oh, yung mga pera mo dyan, yung mga gastusin mo, yung mga income mo, sa akin may bigay. That's controlling the woman's finances. Wala kang karapatan sa properties natin mag-asawa. Kasi under the law, si guy at saka si wife, si husband at si wife, they jointly own the properties. They own the properties and the money ng nilang dalawa. Kapag pigilan or kontrolin ng lalaki yung finances, yung properties, yung pera ng babae, that's, again, economic abuse. Ayan na. May nababanggit ako kanina, madalas yung mga question ko, yung examples ko are about mag-asawa. The question is, mag-asawa lang ba? Applicable lang ba to sa mag-asawa? Okay. Sa sabi ng batas, yung vowsy may be committed against the wife, against the ex-wife. It can be committed against the girlfriend. O, kahit hindi mag-asawa, pwede. Let's say, mag-shota pa lang kayo, tapos ginawa na yung mga iba-ibang klaseng violence na yun. May physical, mag-jowa pa lang, pero nagbubugbugan na, binubugbog na yung ng boyfriend, si girlfriend. That's vowsy. Ex-girlfriend, ganun din. Lover, ganun. Ex-lover, ganun. Pero bakit sinabi na yung asawa, yung ex na asawa, girlfriend, yung ex na girlfriend, lover, ex na lover? Okay. Sabi kasi ng batas, the crime may be committed against a person with whom the accused has or had a dating relationship or sexual relationship or mag-asawa mismo. Kaya kahit nakalagay na bakit may ex-wife, bakit may girlfriend? Kasi sabi ng batas, had. Kahit before, pasok pa rin. Girlfriend, ganun. Kasi may dating relationship. Ex-girlfriend, ganun. Kasi nagkaroon na sila ng dating relationship. Lover, ganun din. Ex-lover, ganun din. And ang last natin na item, kung kanino ba pwedeng makomit ang vowsy is sa child. Usually sa common child or kahit sa child ng babae. Kahit hindi man doon kay guy. Ayan, sabi ng batas, violence against women and their children refers to any act or a series of acts committed by any person against a woman who is his wife, his former wife, against a woman with whom the person has, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina, has or had a sexual or dating relationship. Anong difference ng sexual tapos dating relationship? Sexual, ito yung merong relasyon, by the term itself, merong sexual acts between that person. Dating relationship, with or without sexual relation, with or without sexual congress between the two persons, pasok pa rin sa vowsy. With whom he has a common child. Let's say, si A or si husband at saka si wife, yung anak nila, kinumit ni husband against doon sa anak nila, pasok pa rin yun. Number 5, against the child of the woman. Legitimate man or illegitimate, sa loob man or sa labas ng family abode, which result in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, psychological harm or suffering, or economic abuse, including threats of such act. Ayan na, yung actual act mismo or kahit threat lang ng act na yun, pasok pa rin sa vowsy. Such acts, battery, assault, coercion, harassment, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty. So again, kanino yung pwedeng gawin? Sa wife, ex-wife, sa isang babae na nagkaroon ng sexual or dating relationship with that guy, meron or nagkaroon, meron, ibig sabihin, occurring, present, nagkaroon, ibig sabihin, kahit tapos na. Ito yung sinasabi na, pag tapos na, wag na balikan, di ba? Pero sabi ng law, kahit tapos na, pwede mo balikan. Ganun kalakas yung vowsy. Kasi kahit nakaraan na, pwede mong katin. May anak with whom he has a common child and against the child of the woman. Ang number 4 at number 5, ang kaya sila pinaghiwalay kasi yung number 4 refers to the child or children ng mag-asawa, or kahit hindi sila mag-asawa pero meron silang sexual or dating relationship, or kahit live-in partners, pwede pa rin ma-apply ang vowsy. Number 5, ito yung this refers sa situation na yung babae is meron ng anak, nagkaroon na ng anak sa iba, then nakilala niya tong si guy. Yun yung difference ng 4 at saka yung 5. Meron tayong, okay, attorney, nangyari na sa akin yung mga nabanggit mong grounds. Sinaktan ako, binugbog na ako, minura-mura na ako sa public, sinipa yung pet ng anak ko, yung pet ko, sinipa, pinatay yung pet. Ano pwede kong gawin? Ito, yung protection order. Aside sa pag-file ng case, aside sa usually, kapag may ganyang cases na lumalapit sa akin, the first thing I ask the client to do is to file a barangay blotter. Next is a police blotter. Then, diretso na sa pag-file ng kaso. Pero, for protection-wise, that's why it's called protection order. Kasi kahit pending na yung kaso, kahit naka-blotter na, what's the assurance na magiging safe pa rin yung babae o yung anak ng babae? Kahit naka-file na sa fiscal's office or dito sa prosecutor's office, anong assurance na hindi lalapit yung guy kay girl? Ano yung assurance na hindi uli gagawin ni guy kay girl? Ito yung purpose ng protection order. Why? Ang usual na nangyayari sa protection order is para wag nang makalapit si guy kay babae. The purpose is to prevent further acts of violence. By the term violence, it means yung physical, psychological, emotional, economic against the woman or the child, specified in granting other necessary relief. May times na nilalagay sa order na to kung ilang distance ba ang hindi pwedeng ilapit ng guy, or anong lugar ba ang hindi pwedeng puntahan ni guy kung saan malapit si girl. Ano ba yung mga hindi niya pwedeng gawin? Bawal niya bang kausapin? Bawal niya bang i-text, i-chat? Bawal ba siyang magparinig to social media? Maraming ways para hindi na magkaroon uli ng acts of violence. Ngayon, sino ang pwedeng mag-issue? Pwedeng si barangay and si court. Kaya tayo may tinatawag na BPO or Barangay Protection Order. Si barangay ang nag-i-issue niya. What you will do, punta kayo sa barangay. Hopefully, hindi naman nangyari ito sa inyo. Or if may kakilala kayong nangyayari ito, ito yung pwedeng gawin. Punta kayo sa barangay, ask for a Barangay Protection Order. Or, while the case is pending, aside sa BPO, mag-request na kayo ng Temporary Protection Order temporarily, kaya siya temporary, is habang hinihintay yung permanent protection order, meron na tayong temporary protection order. What's the purpose? Again, para hindi na makalapit si guy, and again, para hindi na makommit uli or madagdagan pa yung mga acts of violence na ginagawa ni guy kay girl. The protection orders that may be issued, ito yung mga relief na pwedeng ibigay or i-grant ng protection orders na yun. Pwedeng pagbawalan si respondent. By the term respondent, para clear, hindi ito yung respondent na tinatawag sa mga surveys or mga thesis na respondent. Ang respondent dito is the guy from threatening to commit or from committing talaga personally or to another person any of the acts or grounds mentioned kanina. Para pigilan or wag gawin ni respondent or ni guy yung pagharas, pag-anoy, tawagan, i-contact, or otherwise communicating with the petitioner. What kinds of communication? All kinds of communication. Pwedeng virtual or pwedeng in-person na communication. Pwedeng pagbawalan. Directly, bawal mismo si respondent, or indirectly, bawal ni respondent or ni guy ipadaan sa ibang tao. Bawal niya bawal niya rin yun ipadaan sa ibang tao. That's the term or that's what's meant by indirectly. Kung mag-asawa, usually nangyari din to. Pwedeng paalisin si guy sa bahay nilang mag-asawa. Sino petitioner? Yung babae. Regardless kung kay guy man yung bahay na yun, pwede siyang paalisin dun. Kahit yung titulo is nakapangalan kay guy, pwede siyang paalisin dun as long as dun nakatira yung pamilya. And either temporarily for the purpose na protection na lang si petitioner or si babae, or permanently kung wala namang na-violate na property rights. And pwede rin ipaalis yung mga personal effects. Let's say yung mga gamit, mga laptop, yung mga libro, yung mga alak niya sa bahay, pwedeng ipaalis dun sa bahay. Pwedeng ipa-course through to sa court na yung court is mag-order sa mga law enforcement agencies para samahan si guy or si respondent na kunin yung gamit niya and escort siya papalabas ng residence. Number 4 is pwedeng pagsabihan si respondent na, oy, huwag kang lumapit dyan. Huwag mong puntahan, to stay away from the woman, from the petitioner, or the designated family or household member at a distance specified ni court. Again, si court ang may say kung gaano kalawak, pwedeng radius or gaano layo ba ang dapat na i-maintain ni respondent from the petitioner or from their children. To stay away from the residence, from the school. Kasi baka mamaya niyan, umaaligid-aligid sa school ng mga bata yung lalaki or sa pinagtatrabahuhan ng babae. This is one way to protect the children and the woman. Or any specified place kung saan man madalas pumunta si petitioner. Example, madalas ka ako si petitioner sa SM, madalas ka ako mag-Starbucks. So, pwedeng sabihin ng court na, huwag kang lumapit sa Starbucks, huwag kang pupunta sa Starbucks. Or within radius of 50 meters from Starbucks, bawal kang lumapit dyan. That's the strength of the power of the court. Number 5, directing lawful possession and use by the petitioner of an automobile and other essential personal effects regardless kung kanino nakapangalan yung, let's say, ORCR. Let's say nakapangalan yung ORCR, the registered owner is nakalagay yung respondent. Pwede yan sabihin ng court na, si petitioner lang pwede gumamit yan. Bawal yan gamitin ng respondent. Or, pwede rin sabihan ni court, i-direct ng court yung appropriate law enforcement officer na samahan si petitioner, si babae, doon sa bahay nila para sure na ma-restore or makuha ni petitioner yung possession ng sasakyan na yun. or iba pang gamit. Or para i-supervise yung alis ng mga gamit. Ayan, number 6, pwedeng i-grant yung temporary or permanent custody ng bata kay petitioner to this to this TPO or PPO. Pwede rin sabihin ng court na, kahit pending ang kaso, entitled pa rin yung asawa mo or yung anak nyo or yung mga anak nyo sa support. Kailangan pa rin bigyan ng sustento. Pwedeng magbigay ng percentage ng income or salary. Let's say sabihin ng court na, okay, 30% or 40% or 50% of your salary, naka-withhold yan. Kasi i-remit yan automatically doon sa asawa. Why? For their support. And failure to do this, failure to remit, or failure to withhold, or kahit ma-delay lang yung pag-remit ng support na walang reasonable cause or justifiable cause, pwedeng ma-indirect contempt ng court si lalaki or kahit si employer niya. So sa number 7, damay pati yung employer ni respondent. Bakit? Kung depende sa court. Kung sasabihan ba ng court na, ikaw lang respondent, itabi mo itong percent na to ng income mo. Or pwedeng sabihan na, yung employer ng guy should withhold a particular portion ng income or ng salary niya para dun sa sustento para sa family. Failure to do that, indirect contempt of court. Number 8, pwedeng pagbawalan ng court. Let's say may LTOP to si Guy. Meron siyang baril na hawak. Pwede siyang pagbawalan na gamitin yun. Or any deadly weapon. And pwede siyang sabihan o orderan ng court na you surrender that gun or that deadly weapon to the court. Court munang hawak niya. Pwede rin na ipa-revoke yung lisensya. And i-disqualify na si respondent na mag-apply uli para sa LTOP. Kung law enforcement agent man si offender or si respondent, pwedeng i-order ng court na i-surrender muna yung baril. And mag-investigate naman mag-uutos yung court na yung appropriate agency or authority is mag-investigate doon kay Guy and mag-take appropriate action on the matter. Kung meron man actual damages, kailangan ibigay. Lalo na kung may property damage, medical expenses, mga childcare expenses, and kung meron man na loss in income. Pwede utusan ng court si DSWD or yung malapit na DSWD para mag-provide ng pangangailangan ng petitioner at ng mga anak nila. Provision of any other forms na sa tingin ng court is necessary para maprotektahan and ma-secure yung safety ng petitioner at ng mga anak nila. Yun yung pwedeng ibigay ng court. Yan lahat ng yan pwedeng ibigay ng court just to protect the woman and or the children. Sino ang pwedeng mag-file? Actually, maraming tao ang pwedeng mag-file nito. Si offended party mismo, or si wife, si ex-wife, si lover, si ex-lover, si girlfriend, si ex-girlfriend. Yung parents or guardians, yung ascendants, descendants, or collateral relatives within the fourth civil degree of consanguinity or affinity, or what we call mga pinsan, first degree cousins, ay yung mga collateral relatives within the fourth civil degree of consanguinity or affinity. Officers or social workers ng DSWD or social workers ng mga LGUs, pwede sila mag-file yan. Sino pa? Police officers, pwede rin. Punong barangay, barangay kagawad, pwede. Yung abogado nung babae, or kung sino man yung therapist ng babae, healthcare provider ng babae, pwede sila. Or at least two concerned citizens, responsible citizens ng city or municipality kung saan nangyayari yung karahasan o yung violence against dun sa babae or sa woman at saka sa anak nila. And, syempre, dapat may personal knowledge na ginagawa nga talaga yung offense. Ano meaning ng personal knowledge? Ibig sabihin, kita niya, narinig niya, mismo, first hand. First hand basis. Hindi yung narinig niya lang na kinwento ng iba. That's hearsay. That's not personal knowledge. Ito yung isang benefit na binibigay sa mga nabiktima ng BAUSI. Mga paid leave siya for up to 10 days in addition to iba pang paid leaves. Ito yung additional benefit. So sobrang daming benefit aside sa pag-file ng case, aside sa paghingi ng protection order, pwede rin humingi nitong 10-day BAUSI leave. Anong requirement? The only requirement is for the victim employee. Usually applicable to syempre sa mga babae, mga victims na employed. Ang ipapresent niya lang is certification from the punong barangay or the barangay kagawad or certification na mula sa prosecutor in charge sa kaso or certification na mula sa clerk of court kung asan man nakapending yung kaso na merong action or merong pending na kaso. May pending na BAUSI na kaso. Yun lang yung kailangan, certification. Para ibigay ni victim employee kay employer niya. Again, that's 10-day vacation leave. The availment of the 10-day leave, option na yan ng women employee. Kasi yun yung mga days na kailangan niyang mag-attend sa mga medical concerns and legal concerns. Pwede siya mag-absent just to prepare for the case, for her time to recuperate. And sabi ng batas is non-cumulative yung leaves na yun and not convertible to cash as compared to other employee benefits. Can you apply for the 10-day leave from your employer just because you have a black eye or any manifestation of abuse? Hindi. Bakit? Yung 10-day leave, pwede lang siyang gamitin or i-avail of kapag nakapag-apply na siya ng protection order with the intention to file a case against her assailant. In short, kailangan ng kumbaga preparatory acts na. Kailangan na nag-apply na siya ng protection order and or nakapag-file na siya ng kaso laban sa assailant. Kasi balikan natin, kailangan ng certification. And that certification should come from the punong barangay, the barangay kagawad. Lalo-lalo na kapag nakapag-barangay blotter ka na and nakapag-apply ka na for barangay protection order. Or nakakuha ka na ng certification from the prosecutor or from the clerk of court na meron ng pending na case. So, yun. So, hindi lang po kung may black eye ka na or may manifestation of abuse, pwede mo nang i-avail yung 10-day leave. Pwede ka lang yan kapag may BPO ka na either or nakapag-file ka na ng kaso. Ayun. Actually, gusto ko lang i-recap yung buo. Again, kailangan din natin tandaan yung mga grounds and kung sino ba ang pwedeng kasuhan, sino ba ang pwedeng magkaso, ano ba yung protection na pwedeng ibigay sa mga abused women. Pag sinabi bang abused women, let's say si guy at saka si girl, di naman magkaano-ano, pero nagkataon na in some odd way, sinuntok ni guy si girl, pwede na bang magkaso ng bawsi? Kailangan mo nang i-prove na may sexual or dating relationship si guy and si girl. Yun yung important. It's either mag-asawa sila, or kung hindi man sila mag-asawa, there's a dating relationship or there is a sexual relationship. Kung wala nun, kung let's say magkakilala lang sila or magkaibigan lang sila, hindi, yan yung sinasabi nila, magkaibigan lang kami. Pasok ba yan sa bawsi? Hindi. Hindi siya pasok sa bawsi. So, may limit pa rin yung bawsi. Hindi ibig sabihin na violence against women and children ay any abuse against women, bawsi agad. Any abuse against children, bawsi agad. No. There is a limitation. Kailangan mag-asawa. Kailangan, kung hindi man mag-asawa, may dating relationship or sexual relationship. Kung sa child man, kailangan anak nilang dalawa or anak ng babae. Pwedeng sa ibang, galing sa ibang lalaki. Yun yung coverage ng bawsi. Again, if mangyari man yun, or nangyayari man sa kakilala natin, we should support, we should help, lalo na mahirap yung mga ganyan situations. Sobrang bigat niyan. Very traumatic. Hindi naman sa na-experience ko na. Pero, number one, hindi ko na na-experience. Very traumatic yan on the part of the woman, syempre. Kasi, ikaw ba naman saktan? Syempre, masakit yan talaga. Ikaw ba naman murahin in public? Masakit talaga yan. Kaya, let us support yung mga victims nito and as much as possible is makapag-take ng legal action para mabigyan ng justice yung nangyari. Protected naman yung babae. Yung iba kasi ayaw magsampa ng kaso kasi attorney, baka balikan ako ng asawa ko. Attorney, baka balikan ako ng boyfriend ko. Baka tambangan ako dyan sa labas. No, kasi meron tayong tinatawag na mga protection orders. Yung protection orders na by the term itself, it will protect, it will secure your safety. Para hindi ka lapitan or hindi ka masaktan ng guy or ng asawa mo or ng jowa mo or ng ex mo. So, anytime ba attorney, pwede mag-file nito? Yes, as much as possible nga. Kailangan na ng immediate action lagi. Huwag nang patagalin para hindi na mag-raise ng questions. Kasi kung pinapatagal, usually, although mahaba naman ang prescriptive period ng bawsi cases, pero as much as possible, better na pinafile agad para number one, protected agad yung babae or yung mga anak. Number two, para hindi na maulit. Number three, para mabigyan agad ng justice yung nangyari. First thing to do, go to your barangay, blatter, hingi ng protection order, go to the police station, report agad, go to the fiscal, file agad ng case. May bayad ba? Usually, depende na yan sa lawyers. Anyways, ang masasabi ko na lang dito is, ang moral of the story ng bawsi is to protect the women. To protect the women, to protect the children. Kasi hindi biro ang effect, hindi biro ang consequences ng bawsi. Actually, tapos na ako, Mr. Moderator. Ano ko lang tong yung sinabi ni Roldan, ni Dr. Roldan doon sa ating chat. Meron tayong email address na pwedeng sendan kung meron mga kayong mga katanungan, lalong-lalo na kung marami kayong gustong itanong or para mas meron pa tayong deep na understanding sa bawsi. Kasi yung diniscuss ko kanina, ano pa lang yun, medyo mababaw na ano pa lang yun, mababaw pa lang na discussion yun on the law itself. Kasi kapag may law usually, meron na yung mga court cases, meron na yung jurisprudence or mga Supreme Court decisions na malalim na discussion ang kailangan na doon. So, gusto ko lang appreciate yung nag-question na how to prove stalking daw sa court. Actually, maraming ways din. Number one, kasi meron tayong three types of evidence. Merong documentary evidence, object evidence, testimonial evidence. For object evidence, kung meron ka naman dyan na CCTV doon sa area na yun, pwede rin. Pwedeng gamitin yun. Pwedeng i-secure yung CCTV. Documentary evidence, i-print yung mga pertinent portions nung video. And aside doon, kung may nakapag-picture man na andun talaga yung guy sa area na yon, i-print yung picture. As much as possible, yung colored picture para original talaga siya. And number three, testimonial evidence. Kung sino man yung nagpicture, kung sino man yung nag-record, or may access doon sa CCTV, sila yung pwedeng kunin. Aside doon, kung sino pang mga ibang tao na andun sa area na yon na nakakita na, uy, andun nga si Guy. So, marami kang pwedeng gamitin. And syempre, number one talaga dyan is ikaw. Kung nakita mong umaaligid to si asawa ko, si ex ko. So, ganun. So, I would appreciate yung mga magtatanong. Pwede nating isend sa email address ng office namin. Ito siya.
Thank you
And,
so much.
yes.
All right.
Thank
you so much once again, Attorney.
Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you. Once again, thank you so much to our second speaker for today. I am struggling with my connection kaya medyo lumabas lang tayo ng saglit. So once again, thank you so much to our attorney Glenn Ian Barceval. And thank you so much, sir, for that comprehensive discussion and giving us information about the Bausi. Yours truly is a former punong barangay dito sa Iams Barrio, Legazpi. So talaga nakaka-relate tayo sa pagbibigay ng barangay protection order. Importante talaga na you are dapat sa barangay level pa lang ay tumawa ka na ng aksyon. And then of course, kung may kakilala tayo na gustong magkaroon ng protection, tulungan natin na suportahan natin. Huwag na natin siguro gatungan. Instead, tulungan natin na kahit papaano maalis at mawala yung trauma na nararanasan nila. Di ba, attorney, no? So, that's it. So if you have any question to our second speaker, you can or you may email it to our barcebaloffice@gmail.com. So nakalagay na po ito dito sa ating meeting chat box. So maraming salamat po, attorney. I know meron ka pa pong commitment later on. Equally important commitment, and thank you so much for your time. But attorney, let's give siguro 1 minute for the photo ops and then the awarding of your certificate, please. So doon muna tayo sa awarding of certificate para dire-diretso na tayo, and right after, photo opportunity proper. So ganyan talaga pag virtual, no? I am doing my best right now, so please bear with me, medyo maingay lang. So let me read the citation. Republic of the Philippines, Bicol University Graduate School, in cooperation with Center for Gender and Development, BUOU, BUCIT, and above Student Council, Certificate of Commendation is hereby awarded to Attorney Glenn Ian P. Barcibal for his invaluable service rendered as resource speaker on the topic of anti-violence against women and their children, or BAUC, or also known as RA 9262. During the forum on Safe Space Act or 1131-3 and the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act or 9262 in December 1, 2022 via Zoom video conference, signed by our Dr. Roldan C. Capiles, BUGS and OU GAD coordinator, yours truly, and of course the Director of Center for Gender and Development, Dr. Noel R. Rafer, of course the Dean of BOU, Dr. Rameses M. Norino, and the Dean of the Bugs. We have Dr. Herbert P. Rosana, and the Dean of BUC. We have Dr. Jonathan C. Aroco. Once again, everyone, let's give virtual clap to our second speaker, Attorney Glenn Ian P. Barchabal. Sir, see you around po dito sa Legazpi. Maraming salamat. So like what I promised, let's have the photo ops na mabilisan lang. Pero please, if you can on your camera, kindly paki-on na natin para meron tayong souvenir or documentation together with our speaker. So I think we have two panels because as of this moment, we have 80 participants. So thank you so much. And until naka-live pa rin po tayo sa Facebook Live ng Bicol University. All right, let's have the first panel. 1, 2, 3, and smile. There you go. Another panel. 1, 2, 3, smile, and keep smiling to the first. There you go. Once again, maraming salamat po, attorney. Again, let me just reiterate. If you have any question, you may email parciballawoffice@gmail.com. There you have it. Maraming salamat. And we will send also evaluation link sa ating mga participants dahil napakagaling po ni Attorney Parcibal with this kind of topic. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and expertise. Thank you. Now, at this juncture, thank you, sir. Now, at this juncture, we're now going to proceed with our closing remarks. And of course, siyempre pangungunahan ko na thank you for having me as your moderator and host. Of course, to the Bugs OU and God Coordinator. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up with the ever-active, talagang napakasipag na tao, none other than Dr. Roldan C. Cabiles for the closing remarks. Doc, magandang hapon po.
Good afternoon, Flor. Thank you very much. I would like to thank, of course, all the people who helped me in the success in achieving the success of our webinar this morning and this afternoon. First and foremost, I'd like to thank the three deans of our collaborating agencies. We have Dr. Ram Lorino, the Dean of Open University. We have Dr. Herbert B. Rosana, the Dean of the Graduate School, Dr. Jonathan Aroco, the Dean of the College of Industrial Technology, and of course, our very supportive Director of the Center for Gender and Development. We have Director Noel Arnafer. Thank you very much po sa ating Deans and Director for your all-out support in support of our 18-day campaign for anti-violence against women and children, or VAUSI. I also would like to thank our first resource person. We have Attorney Maria Cleofigetti C. Sandoval, a faculty of Ateneo School of Law, Ateneo de Manila, University. Thank you. Even though attorney is no longer here in the Zoom, but I still would like to extend my gratitude for the very substantial talk a while ago. Many of us were really enlightened about the nitty-gritty and provisions of the Safe Spaces Act. And of course, our very young and very witty next speaker, Attorney Glenn Ian P. Barcibal, a private practitioner of the Attorney Glenn Ian P. Barcibal Law Office, member of, and also a member of the BU College of Law faculty. Thank you, Attorney, for sharing your time and expertise in one of the programs of the BU Graduate School in collaboration with the other colleges of the university. And we would like to still expect your presence in some other activities we will have in Bicol University. Also, I'd like to thank the GAD coordinator of BUSIT, Dr. Rosvida Cadag, the president of the Student Council, who is also serving as our Master of Ceremonies, Sir Floyd Medina. Thank you very much, Sir Floyd, for successfully gracing our activity this morning and this afternoon. Our participants via Zoom and via the Facebook Live of Bicol University, I have run through a while ago in the attendance. I have seen we have students and participants coming from other parts of the country. We have students from Thailand, we have students from Cambodia. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat kasi hapon po dito sa Pilipinas. We also have participants coming from other parts of the regions, from Masbate, Sorsogon, Cam Norte, Cam Sur, Legazpi, Albay rather. And whatever places you are right now, thank you very much for your attendance. We highly appreciate. We have learned a lot of things in the two talks of the resource persons, and these are really enlightening. But I'd like to leave this kind of thought that all of these are theories and these really are meant to be practiced, not just merely putting it in our mind, but I hope that we also put these things into practice so that we can really achieve what we're trying to achieve, and that's equality. And to achieve equality, we always do equity so that we're leading towards our vision, and that's attaining gender equality. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attendance, and we hope to see you everyone in the next endeavors of BU Graduate School, Open University, and the Center for Gender and Development, and other colleges of Bicol University. Sir Lord, take it away.
Thank you so much. Maraming salamat po to our PUBS and OU GAD Coordinator, Dr. Roldan C. Cabiles. Kasasabi lang no, ng ating coordinator na si Dr. Cabiles na meron tayong participants from Thailand and Cambodia. Dahil dyan, I would like to say thank you in Cambodia. Thank you in Cambodia is Akon. And in thank you in Thailand is Kapkun Kap. So thank you so much for attending our none other than our webinar, or should I say forum, for our two topics for this afternoon. And especially to our students from Bicol University, Diyos ang magbalos po sa Idogabos sa pag-attender sa satuyang forum mo niya na pagkahapon. And now to all of our participants na nandito pa rin, don't ever forget to fill out the evaluation form from our two speakers from the morning session and this for the afternoon session para po ma-receive ninyo ang ating mga e-certificates from our organizers. And maraming salamat din po sa ating mga faculty members from OU, BUGS, different colleges of Bicol University. Thank you for supporting our forum for today. So hindi ko na po patatagalin pa. Maraming salamat po once again. Of course, to our mga VIPs kanina, Dr. Noel, of course, Ma'am Amelia Dorosa, Doc Herbert Rosana, Doc Ram Lorino, and Doc Jonathan Aroco, and siyempre, none other than sa ating Doc Cabiles. Thank you so much for organizing this event. So ladies and gentlemen, I am Flor J. Naval Medina, and live here at Zoom video conference. This is the Forum on Safe Spaces Act, or RA 1131-3, and the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act, or RA 9262. Thank you at magandang hapon. Bye everybody! Ingat!
Congrats, Roldan.
Thank you, Doc. Next time ulit po.
Opo. And nice to see my former student.
We wish to sing of a school to